businesses are going well. And yeah, welcome to another session. This is business model innovation. It's quite an exciting session. We'll be covering quite a bit, and I will be in contact with you guys afterwards, just to explain to you now what the next steps are, because I think the next steps in your Rubik's Cube capturing process are going to be really key. This is where we get into the meat of things, and where we can potentially, project your business into another dimension. So let's hope we can do that. So just on that note, I'd like to thank everyone for their contributions to their Rubik's Cubes. We will be working a little bit more intense with that, and you're going to see it's going to be quite important for us to really focus on a certain few key things, and you will see what kind of change that can make in your organization. Right, so business model innovation, I've lined up a good few videos. It's always hard to explain it because there's so many dimensions that you can look at. So I've trusted the experts that's going to take us through their journeys, and the experts that either in a tertiary institution or are consultants, global consultants in business model innovation, explain to us what it's all about. And hopefully we can all learn from that and implement that in our businesses. So the first one is just one to get us all going. It's quite a funny thing. I've had a good chuckle again today when I watched the video again. It's an online shaving club, and they're called the Dollar Shave Club. Check them out. They're basically giving guys like Gillette, which is a major world player in shavers, a go. And they do it through looking at their business model in a much more leaner and more customer-centric way. So I'm going to share my screen and enjoy the video, and we'll take it from there.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah. $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. Do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on. Hi.
Cool, guys. So that was my little video there. It's very funny. I really enjoy that. So I hope you did too. We're going to go into a business model innovation. It's a little bit of a longer video, where it explains to us a little bit more what exactly it is, and it goes into a slightly more academic perspective thereof. So with the previous one, it's obviously they're in the business of selling razor blades. They sell razor blades at very cheap price to customers, and then where they actually make their money is on the razors. The difference between them and the Gillettes of the world is they actually deliver to your door, so they will have less overheads as your normal as what Gillette would have. So they're a much more leaner organization. And obviously, they provide that kind of personalized service. So let's get into the more academic side of business model innovation and take it from there. Enjoy.
Have you ever wondered why hyper-successful companies like Nokia or Kodak suddenly lose their edge? Or how could firms like Commodore Computers, Grundig, Nakamichi, Newsweek, or Polaroid possibly fail? Did they not have abundant R&D resources, top employees, and profound knowledge of their markets? Yes. But they had another thing in common. They all missed the moment when they should have left their successful path to rethink their business model. They missed out on radical innovation because they were too busy managing daily business and serving current clients instead of envisioning future opportunities. In other words, today's success is the enemy of tomorrow's success. The innovation cycle spins faster than ever in nearly all industries. Innovation either increases the customer value of a product or service, or it lowers their costs, and therefore creates a competitive advantage. Apple, for instance, creates a high perceived customer value with its innovative new products, and Dell reduces its costs and working capital through build-to-order processes. But even though its importance is undisputed, there are many misconceptions about innovation. 3 myths are particularly pervasive. First, innovation stems from ideas nobody has had before. Second, big success requires big resources. And third, innovation breakthroughs are always based on fascinating technologies. Luckily, they are all wrong. IBM did not invent the personal computer. Apple did not invent MP3 technology, and Amazon did not invent the online bookstore. Successful innovators learn and recombine, whereas the pioneers get eaten by the wolves. Cisco had virtually non-existent R&D resources, but out-innovated the largest research lab in the world, AT&T's Bell Labs. 14 of today's 25 most innovative firms have innovated their business model, and not just their technology. Take firms such as Google, Amazon, or eBay. Great algorithms, yes, but it is the business model, not just the technology, that is responsible for their success. So, what exactly is a business model innovation? A business model provides answers to 4 questions. Who is your target customer? What do you offer to the customer? How do you create the value proposition? And how do you generate revenue? And a business model innovation changes at least 2 of these 4 dimensions. In our research, we've looked at all major business model innovations in the past 50 years. They have all revolutionized one or several industries. For instance, IKEA has redefined the way we buy furniture. TomTom has transformed the navigation business, or eBay has changed the world of trade. Yet only 10% of these business model innovations were novel and introduced new business model patterns. The other 90% merely adapted, refined, or combined these patterns. For instance, innovative companies often apply creative imitation. They ask themselves, how could a business model innovation from another industry revolutionize our own industry? In total, we have identified 55 business model patterns that are responsible for all business model innovations. For example, flat rate, supermarket, rent instead of buy, experience selling, e-commerce, or the razor and blade pattern. Let's have a look at this one. Since 1904, Gillette has been giving away razors for next to nothing, but selling its blades at obscenely high prices. Nespresso creatively imitated this pattern, selling cheap coffee machines and expensive coffee, and revolutionized the coffee industry. And many other companies applied the razor and blade pattern too. Remember Apple's iTunes, Amazon's Kindle, or Hewlett-Packard's inkjet printers? Now, what do you have to do to innovate your business model? We advise you to follow 4 steps: initiation, ideation, integration, and implementation. During initiation, you analyze your current business model. Again, who is your target customer? What do you offer to the customer? How do you create the value proposition? And how do you generate revenue? During ideation, you confront this business model with the 55 business model innovation patterns and develop new models. How would Nespresso conduct your business? Or is there a match between your product and the experience selling pattern? challenge your basic assumptions and the dominant logic of your industry. But don't try to reinvent the wheel. Instead, use analogies and learn from other industries. During integration, you need to check the consistency of the business model. This is important detail work, where you examine all 4 questions regarding organizational fit. Finally, during implementation, it is time to awaken the beast. But be careful. In iterative cycles, you design a business model, build a pilot, test the pilot, and return to the design phase. It is important to not only gain qualitative and quantitative data to verify or falsify your assumptions about your new business model, but also not to forget about the soft factors of innovation. Thanks to incorrect management behavior and organizational resistance, more than 70% of all change initiatives fail. Therefore, keep a few rules in mind. First, only implement one business model at a time. Second, clearly communicate the new business model and the need for change. Third, don't overemphasize short-term KPIs. Innovation needs time. Fourth, get top management commitment. Without their sponsorships, business model innovation is doomed to fail. And finally, overcome the not invented here syndrome. Got that? Let's wrap it up then. Innovation is the key factor to defeat path dependency and stay competitive in today's economy. Yet, innovation is not necessarily about new technologies, excessive research and development, or about creating completely new ideas. Most of the time, innovation is about learning from others and reinventing your business model, not just your technology. This can be done in a structured process of initiation, ideation, integration, and implementation. You analyze your business model, apply the 55 innovation patterns, check for inconsistencies, and start implementing carefully, keeping in mind success factors and pitfalls. Are you ready then to revolutionize your own industry? Try to creatively learn from the giants whose shoulders you are standing on. Think big and think different. Steve Jobs did it, so why can't you?
Cool, guys. So just want to quickly recap there. I think what's for me is very important for everyone to understand is that innovation and business model innovation specifically, it's not only about new ideas. It's not only about having lots of resources at your disposal, but it's very much an effort of recombining what you have and relooking what you have. The last myth that they covered is that it doesn't cost a lot of R&D. But I think what is important, and you can also classify that under R&D, is you don't have to have a research department. You can actually go out and test certain ideas with your clients and also get a lot of ideas from them. So on the one hand, you're empathizing with your clients and understanding their world, and then from there on, you actually get more insights into their world, and they can give you a lot of leads on how they could potentially run your business differently. And that's basically what business model innovation is about. It's about the execution. So with the next video that we're going to look at with Nespresso, is you will see that Nespresso is in the business of coffee, and so are many other people. So at the end of the day, you get lots of guys that either sell a coffee machine, or they sell they grind it, or whole coffee beans. But Nespresso really is a very good example of business model innovation, and they'll cover that in quite a bit of detail in this session over here. So I just want to quickly open the floor and hear, is there anyone out there that want to say something, ask something at this point about business model innovation and what you've seen so far? Okay, unless I can't see a hands up, I think everyone seems okay at this point in time. So cool. Yeah, please put your hands up with the hands up feature in the chat if you want to ask anything. I'd be more than happy to assist and answer your questions. Okay, so without delaying any further, I'm going to take us through the Nespresso business model and pay close attention to what they've done and what they've achieved with their coffees and their coffee pods, and see if you can learn something from it. It's very similar. I specifically chose this one because it's very similar to the Dollar Shave Club, because at the end of the day, where they really make their money in the Dollar Shave Club example is that they sell individual razor blades that eventually become is where they make their real money, and they start off by very cheap razor blades, and then they go to the very expensive ones. So there's various options one can have there. And with Nespresso, where they eventually make their money is with the pods, and pay close attention to how they actually lock users in to once you've bought a machine, and how they actually got you to continuously only buy their coffee and not a competitor's coffee. Here we go.
Now let's get back to our mini case. So we discussed Nespresso, and at the heart of the Nespresso business model is a machine with the pods, right? But let's look at what was particular in their business model that made them so successful. So they had a very deliberate strategy. Their strategy was to sell the Nespresso machines through retail channels, all the retail channels possible, to households, mainly, big part of their business. They would earn money from a one-time transactional sales, but most of that money would go to their partners, the machine manufacturers. Now, why do they sell through retail? What do you think? Because they want to reach as many people as possible. Now, here's where it gets interesting. For the Nespresso pods with the coffee inside that you put in the machine, they didn't use retail. They only sell through their own channels. First, mail order, call center, then obviously Nespresso.com, and then afterwards they built Nespresso stores, which means they had to build as a key resource all their own channels. This is curious. Why did they make a difference between the machines and the pods? Well, because they understood the dynamics of the strategy there, that if they would get the machine in the households, basically you don't have a choice anymore. You're locked in. Once you have the machine, you can only use Nespresso pods. So you would automatically go to their channels to get the pods. So the pods, they sell them only through direct channels. What's the consequence? Well, you're going to buy those pods in a repetitive way, again and again and away, recurring revenues. But most interestingly, well, if there's no more middleman, all the revenues go right into the pockets of Nespresso. So they earn more money by selling directly. So let's look at the left-hand side of the canvas. What do they really need to make this happen? Let's look at the key resources. What do you think are the key resources that Nespresso needs to make their business model reality? Couple of things. One of the most important parts are the patents. They have to protect their system, so nobody else could make pods that would fit in that machine. And they defended that for a very long time. Turns out, one company found a way around that with biodegradable pods. Turns out that some of their patents are expiring in 2012. So it will be very challenging for Nespresso to rejuvenate their business model. What else do they need? Well, coffee, that's a no-brainer. But you know what? Coffee is really important because they try to get the best coffee. And then the brand. If you're in consumer goods like this, you better have a good brand to really make it possible. And then they built some really, really high-end production facilities to create the best pods with the best quality coffee inside in the world. Now let's look at the activities. I put 3 things there. First one, business to consumer distribution. It was the first time for Nestle in their company Nespresso to send small boxes to individuals. Before, they used to send big pallets to retailers with their Nescafe brand, where they were shipping coffee around the world. So they switched from business to business distribution in the Nespresso model to business to consumer logistics and distribution. That's a pretty important shift. And then they want to excel, obviously, at marketing because they're in consumer goods. And the third part is production. They focus on really producing the best quality coffee. And when you have the left-hand side mapped out, very quickly, you can figure out the costs. Production, business to consumer distribution, and marketing. And boom, you have the entire business model on one poster. Isn't that interesting?
Okay, cool. So that's Nespresso in a quick 4-minute discussion. Anyone from the crowd that wants to ask something or know something, contribute something? Did you find it cool? Did you find it interesting? It would be great to hear from you guys. Andile, Ken, I think you've got the mic. There you go.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Andile.
Yes. No, for me, what I've realized is that it's always good to actually start small and collaborate with other people until you've grown enough to stand by your own. But yeah, it's always good to start small. That's what I've picked up on this, and also they actually make use of business model innovation because they kept on restructuring the way they were distributing or selling their product until every money goes to them. And yeah, thanks.
100%. 100%. And I think what you're touching on there is very important because if you look at the Nespresso business model currently, like they say, they've got massive amount of marketing that went into. They already have a very solid brand name. They are making their own coffee, so they've got factories and they've got distribution. And what is important, like what we've seen from the University of St. Gallen's video, is that they say innovation takes time, and to get to these kind of next level business models will definitely take time. So what you're saying by starting small initially and collaborating is 100%. And I think businesses generally follow like a couple of plateaus where you initially have an initial model, low cost. You're still testing out your market. You're trying to get the problem solution fit. You're trying to get the product market fit, and eventually you want to try to get the business model fit. And that process will actually can perpetuate. And initially, one will obviously want to be as frugal as you can and as smart as you can, but not give away your plans. You also don't want to build bridges along the way, so you have to be careful with how you maintain your relationship with your partners and with customers. But yeah, 100% to get to that space is a gradual process. I see Andile has got another question. Let me see.
Okay,
Yes.
I have another question in terms of business model canvas. Would you consider the marketing by OutSurance, the one that uses the TV ad, where this other guy is driving with the client and sharing information about how they have saved money through using OutSurance? And also another example of they've sponsored PSL. So PSL wears their purple color, which reads in insurance, and they also help where they are. If the traffic lights are not working, they have those people that direct the traffic. would you consider that as being part of a good
business model information?
Yes.
Whether it's good, I think it's innovative. I think it's a fact of knowing their customer well. They decided to deliberately sponsor and advertise at soccer events, and they also definitely, if we talk about with the guys that regulate the traffic in the mornings. So not only do you see someone that reminds you of OUTsurance. But there's also someone that makes you feel good in the morning. We often, when in the days when we still, drove around and were in traffic and were confronted often by, traffic lights or robots, as we call them, not working anymore. You're so glad to then see, there's an OUTsurance guy. That's actually regulating traffic and making my morning better. So I think that's a great piece of comment. Like the previous video said, giving someone your branding and your colors as a representative of your organization is nothing new. So it's not a new idea. It didn't take a lot of resources to do that. It didn't take a lot of R&D. It was just a little bit of common sense. Who is everyone? And the other thing is that's an insurance organization, and at that point in time, everyone is in their car. So I think even consciously and definitely subconsciously, you will make the connection between OUTsurance. I'm in my car. These guys are making my life better. And also, do you guys remember the ads that OUTsurance did in the on the radio, where they said if you can call in for a no obligation quote, and if they can't better your quote, they'll actually pay you. And I think at one stage it went up to 600 Rand. So now you see these guys that help you. You are in your car. Everyone wants to save money. Plus these guys say, listen, you can call us, and if we can't help you, we'll pay you. So that immediately takes this whole thing. When someone calls me for car insurance, for any kind of insurance, a sales call, I really don't like that. But if I can go into a call and I know I'm either going to save on my premium or I'm going to get paid, that changes my mood, changes my psychology, it makes me more susceptible to buy. So yes, thank you for that. That is a really, really great example of simple innovation that has a huge impact. Anyone else that would like to say something at this point in time? Thank you so much for that, Andile. That was great. I really appreciate that. Okay, cool. So thank you very much. So moving right along, I'm going to show you, it's just 4 minutes, and it's really another 3 more cases. I think we all know Spotify, Tinder, and Amazon. So it's 3 separate cases of 3 separate industries as well. Although obviously Amazon and Spotify share parts of the music industry. But let's have a look at what they've done and see what we can learn from them. Really, really nice cases. Enjoy.
Amazon, such a successful company, how come Tinder disrupted the overcrowded online dating market? And how did Spotify manage to make people pay for music again? Well, let me give you some quick answers here in the promo video, so you understand what this course is all about. Since the beginning, Amazon based its whole innovation strategy on constantly disrupting the sales and delivery channels, which are just one part of a business model of a company. They started by disrupting channels for the books market. Instead of going to a library to buy and pick up your physical books, you would order them online and get them delivered by post directly to your home. That was channel innovation, and Amazon kept doing this ever since by selling more and more products online. When they created the Kindle, it became yet a new sales and delivery channel for books. You can both buy and receive books on your Kindle. And now Amazon is experimenting with drone delivery, which is yet another delivery channel, and they also introduced the Echo device with Alexa and the Dash buttons, which are both new sales channels. So instead of going on Amazon.com to order something, you can now tell Alexa to do it or press your Dash button. So both these devices are innovative sales channels. As you can see, Amazon is mainly innovating in one single area of the business model, which is the sales and delivery channels. Spotify is doing the same, but in another area of the business model, which is the revenue models. If we go back to the CD era, you needed to pay a big sum of money for a whole album, even if you only liked a few songs on it. Then Apple came with iTunes and disrupted this market by allowing people to pay for each song individually. That was the first massive revenue model innovation in the music industry. But illegal downloading was still a big problem and music revenues were going down. Eventually, Spotify came and proposed a streaming model where you could listen to music for free but with advertising, and the ad revenue was distributed among artists. So this was once again a revenue model innovation for the music industry. More and more people downloaded the app, but still, it didn't make enough money for the artists. That's why Spotify later introduced a paid version of its app, without advertising and with better features. So the whole revenue model became what we call a freemium one. That's when you have both free and paying users. And Spotify managed to reach a stunning 25% conversion rate. It seems that finally, the music industry has reached the right pricing and revenue model. So the success of Spotify is largely based on its disruptive revenue model in the music industry. And once again, this is just one block of their business model. And finally, Tinder dramatically disrupted the overcrowded online dating industry by innovating on design. Yes, just the design of their app and service. Instead of filling a complex form on an online dating website about your body measurements, eye color, income, interests, etc. to be somehow matched with a person that corresponds to you, Tinder went all the way back to the roots, which is the looks of a person. Look at the picture. Do you feel attracted to the person you see? Yes, no, then swipe right or swipe left. Super easy. And as long as the other person didn't swipe back at you, you can't contact them. So girls can't be harassed anymore and don't need to filter through dozens of guys writing them. And so they are more willing to use the service. All of this is design innovation. Both the visual design of the app, but also the design of the service, how it works compared to the competitors. And design fits right here in the value proposition block of the business model. Another company which is successful thanks to design mainly is Uber, but I'll stop here for now. There are many other areas of the business model where companies innovate. Some become successful by innovating on their target customer, others by disrupting the customer relationships and their marketing strategies. Yet others do it by optimizing their processes and costs and become much more efficient than most of their competitors. So this course is about disruptive innovation. If all what I said sounds interesting to you, then go ahead and check out the free previews of this course, especially the introduction, to know more in details what we're going to cover in it. If you're interested in business, innovation, and technology, I guarantee that you will love this course. Why is Amazon such a...
Lovely. Anyone else? Anyone wants to comment? Anything newly learned here? Andile.
Thank you. I think the Amazon and the Tinder, they are making life easier. At the same time, they are, especially Amazon, they are more time efficient and also convenient for buyers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just a few notes from... Yes. Hi, sorry, was there anyone else that wanted to say something?
Yes.
Siatemba.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Just to add on what Andile just said, I would say they all used the space that was already there, because there's nothing new that they did. Go to Amazon, they just put libraries on the phone. If I can put it in a simple way, they just put library in the phone so that you can go to the library. and Tinder, a lot of dating sites, but they made it simple and easy. So you don't have to fill the form.
Exactly. Sorry, Siatama, you're breaking up a little bit there.
Uber. There are a lot of places, but Uber saw that they don't go to office parks or they don't go to the office parks to collect people. They just wait far distant. So when it's raining, people have to travel to the taxi, and it's difficult for people. So a little bit of money on top, if I'm put it that. So yeah, that's what these three companies did in a nutshell. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much. Anyone else? I'm just going to read you some of my notes from what I understood from there. So I think all of this has got to do, and I think it's got a lot to what Mandile and Siatema just said. It's all about the age of convenience. In the case of Nespresso, you buy a pod, you insert the pod, you have your coffee. You run out of pods, you go, you get your high quality coffee. They sealed in those pods, so that's going to stay fresh for longer. You once again just insert the pod, wait for your coffee, and you've got amazing coffee at your fingertips. Spotify, once again, it's convenience. You never have to buy a CD. A CD is not scratched anymore. You can literally listen to almost any single song ever produced ever at the tip of your fingertips for 70 Rand. So, previously, I remember years ago, CDs actually became quite expensive, especially the stuff that's imported and that was quite scarce, where you can pay anything up to 300, 400 Rand for CDs. And at one stage, and this is years ago, I think the average CD cost about 120 Rand. So now we're at half of that price. Sure, you have to pay a subscription every single month, but you can literally listen to anything your heart desires. It also then, as per most of the online platforms, I've got the intelligence built in of from the stuff that you like and what your friends also like. And the the one thing that's really amazing for me for Spotify is the recommendations it gives you. You can literally every week it's got a new set of recommendations, and it's really stuff you would never have heard of, but it's really, really good music. I love music, so that's why it's something that's quite important to me. And then Tinder, once again, like I say, it's the design of the app. It's the age of convenience. You go onto Tinder, you literally click on your Facebook, sign in. You signed in within a few seconds. You select your photos. The longest thing that takes the thing that takes the longest time is your profile. You type that in, and you don't even have to put a profile description if you don't like to. And you start off and you're ready to go. So all of them are basically very much focused on convenience. They've touched on Uber there, and I mean, I think we've all experienced that. Uber is super convenient. It literally is open Uber, give my GPS, call the guy, well, select your type of Uber, call the guy, and they arrive at your footsteps, really. And I think another thing that I would like to say about all of these things is that that they're all almost about micro transactions. So that the transactions become smaller, but they're more frequent. Initially, if you look at the music guys, at first it was a CD. Then it became a smaller transaction, which then became a song. And then from there on, not even buying individual songs were good enough. It's now, okay, one monthly subscription. You're not going to go smaller than that, but you have access to everything. Other thing that also stands out for me on these business models is that you've got maybe what you can call add-ons or value-added services. So with the Dollar Shave Club, it was the blades. The product is basically the blades. Nespresso, you've got your pods. And then in Tinder and your dating apps, there's all sorts of additional things that you can buy to become more visible or more popular or indicate to someone that you like them above everyone else. And I think there's a lot of money that's also been made there. Okay, so guys, we're almost gonna wrap up our videos. I just want to quickly say, and I think I want to quickly go to Rubik's Cube and talk to you about a few things. So now what we've done is we've gone through a certain process with Rubik's Cube where we've started off with our problem, our solution, our value proposition, and this is what they call problem solution fit. So what we need to do is we have to work with your business models a bit more and to see that, okay, do we actually have a problem solution fit? Do the problems that we've listed here actually match or are actually, first of all, are real problems and the best list of the described problems within what you want to try and solve with your organization? And then your solution, do you actually have a very good solution for these definitely identified problems? That's what we call problem solution fit. And we will get into that information a little bit further. What we then further have is we've got product market fit. Okay, so we need to then now basically, now that we've identified a problem and a couple of solutions, we've come up with a few value propositions. We've also eventually identified some customers. So what we're going to start doing in our subsequent modules on Rubik's Cube is we're going to select our customer segments and we're actually going to go into their minds, define their jobs, etc. So, you know, if we, for instance, look at the nice example of OUTsurance, is that a customer job is, for instance, I need to get into my car, I drive on the road to my work, I do my job, and I drive back home. Now, and then I think what you can also add on the jobs is that sometimes you have to navigate through difficult circumstances. And when I say that, I mean stuff like the traffic lights that's out, the potholes in the road, the unforeseen circumstances on the road itself, and you unfortunately make an accident. And it's in that part where you're in the case of OUTsurance, for instance, where their product is applicable. And you know, for instance, if we look at the pains, sometimes it's a pain to drive through an unattended traffic intersection that is just the lights are out and there's no one there. And the pain reliever would then be that person that actually guides and facilitates you through that difficult situation. The point is what I wanted to make is we're going to do product market fit, and we're going to get into the minds of our customers, all of the ones we've identified here. And then we're going to come to a point where we say that, okay, now we have identified gains, stuff that they like, or pains that they don't like or are experiencing, and we're going to come up with things that we're going to create these gains, and we're going to relieve these pains. And at the end of the day, these gains, gain creators and pain relievers, will then come back to your value proposition, and it will shape this. And this is where you get product market fit. This is where your product fits the needs of the market. We'll go into that a little bit more in detail in the other sessions. And then last but not least, we're going to have business model fit. So it's all good and well that you have these beautiful value propositions that's in line with customer needs. You're solving a problem, you've got great solutions, and everything is hunky-dory. But also, like Andile alluded to previously, is that now to make this work, now to produce this value proposition, you're going to have to do certain things. There's certain key activities that you're going to need to do and perform. These things are either going to be performed by yourself or by your partners, or collaboratively between your partners and yourselves. And that will consume resources, and inevitably it will have costs associated to it. So even you can have the best product problem solution fit, the best product market fit, but you also need to finally have the business model fit. And sorry, I'm not sure if I actually completed my sentence there. What Andile said is very true. You might come up with a business model that is the most lucrative, the biggest revenue, the lowest cost, but to get there, your capex and your opex might be too much for you at that particular stage for what you can handle relative to your funding. So where the business model innovation or business model fit comes in is to get to that first business model that is going to be a viable business model for you as an organization to get out in the market. And what Andile also rightfully said is that you can partner with people and you can position yourself in the middle. It obviously has its pros and its cons, but if you're a partner and you're a facilitator in a certain market, you actually can go quite far. In the University of St. Gallen business and model innovation course in the video we saw previously, they also spoke about recombining. And recombining means the actual reshuffling or reordering of a business model in order to get to something new and something fresh and something viable. And once again, like they said, it doesn't need R&D necessarily, it doesn't need resources, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a new idea. It's just about innovating your business model. Innovating your business model is about how you do stuff, not what you offer. You can have the same company offering the same stuff. With a coffee business, we give people good coffee. We give you the best coffee in the world, but no one has, for instance, the espresso model, where they actually lock you in by clever design of their machines and their pods, that will then force people to buy. And like they say, they don't buy from the retail channels. They actually buy directly from Nespresso themselves, which then causes them to have higher margins because there's fewer middlemen in distributing their product. So I just want to leave you with the last video. It will touch on those pains and gains that I've mentioned. Please keep this in mind when you look at your customers and when you are when you think of your business model and how you can change it, how you can be more can show more empathy and more understanding with your customers, and then I'm sure you're going to have a business that's better off after applying this focus than before. Before I proceed, is there anyone else that would like to maybe say something or ask something at this point in time before we have a look at the last video? Cool. Right, so let's get to the next video, final one, and then we take it from there.
The value proposition canvas, a tool that will help you design, test, build, and manage great customer value propositions. It's like a plug-in to the business model canvas. The tool is based on two elements of your business model: the customer segment who you intend to create value for, and the value proposition which you believe will attract customers. With the value proposition canvas, you can map out both in more granularity and show the fit between what you offer and what customers want. The customer segment profile describes the characteristics of your customers in more detail. The profile is composed of the jobs your customers are trying to get done in their work and in their lives, the related pains outlining the negative aspects they hate or would like to avoid, and third, the gains describing the positive outcomes and benefits which your customers would love to have. Now let's look at the profile in more detail. Jobs describe an important issue your customers are trying to solve in their work or in their lives. It could be the tasks they're trying to perform and complete, the problems they are trying to solve, or the needs they are trying to satisfy. And then jobs can have a functional, social, or emotional intent. Now, some jobs will be crucial to the customers, others will be trivial. Then the second aspect here are the pains describing anything that annoys your customers before, during, and after getting a job done. This could be undesired costs and situations, negative emotions, or risks. And again, some customer pains will be severe, others light. And the third aspect of the profile are the gains describing the outcomes and benefits your customers require, expect, desire, or would be surprised by. This includes things like functional utility, social gains, positive emotions, and cost savings. And again, some outcomes and benefits will be more relevant to customers than others. These three elements of the profile describe the customer characteristics that you can observe in the market. Now let's look at the value proposition map, describing the features of your value proposition, which you are designing to address your customers' most important jobs, pains, and gains. The map is composed of the products and services your value proposition is built around, the pain relievers outlining how your products and services alleviate customer pains, and third, the gain creators describing the positive outcomes and benefits your products and services create for your customers. Now let's look at the map in more detail. First, the products and services simply outline the bundle of products and services that you're offering customers to help them get a functional, social, or emotional job done and to address their pains and gains. Now, the second aspect here, the pain relievers make explicit how your products and services will alleviate specific customer pains before, while, and after the customer is trying to get a job done. They show which of all the customer pains your value proposition is addressing by eliminating or reducing them. And the next aspect here are the gain creators. They make explicit how your products and services create customer gains. They show which of all the customer gains your value proposition is addressing by creating benefits and outcomes. Now, you have achieved a so-called problem-solution fit when the features of your value proposition perfectly match the characteristics of your customer segment profile. When the market validates this match and your value proposition gets traction with real customers, you have achieved a so-called product market fit. But don't forget, successful businesses have more than just a great value proposition. They have a great business model that makes a customer value proposition possible. Now, do you have what it takes to design great business models and value propositions with pain relievers and gain creators that match real customer jobs, pains, and gains? Class dismissed.
Okay, everyone. That was our last video. And I think that is it from my side. If there's anyone else that's got anything they'd like to ask, Andile, great that you've got so much feedback. Yeah, please share what you'd like. Can't wait to hear.
Thank you. Is it advisable that probably if you can actually go through or experience the pain of the targeted customers, you do that before you actually take your idea further? Because sometimes you find that you identify a problem, but when you're going through the pain or when you're engaging the people that you think they are going through a pain, you find out that that is not actually the pain they're going through, but it's something else. Would you advise to actually test that by being there, if there's a way of feeling the pain, or if there's a way to interact with them to find out what is actually they're going through that you can solve?
100%. So I'm not sure how many of you guys have heard of design thinking. So design thinking, at the end of the day, it's just really, I don't want to say it's a complicated thing, but what makes it complex is the empathy part. And you're 100% spot on again. It's that empathy that if you really empathize with your customer, you don't have to ask them a dead survey question or like, there's 20 questions here, answer yes, no, and then you get half an idea of what it is they want and they're experiencing. If you can find a way to 110% put yourself in your client's feet and in their daily lives and their daily jobs, and you've got true empathy with them, that is exactly where you want to be. And that's what makes it so difficult, is how do you put yourself in your customer's shoes, specifically with products and services that doesn't exist. So Andile, the short answer is 100%. If you can do that, there's going to be no better way to actually come up, by yourself with and drawing up this map over here, the value proposition canvas. And you will see in actual fact that is going to be as part of our exercise. We're going to do this, and you're going to kind of shoot from the hip. You're going to make a few assumptions about where is it applicable, and you're going to capture a few assumptions and gains and pains, and then ideas of how to fix it. And then you take that stuff to actual customers and you get feedback from them. And then from there on, as you go through this process, if you can find ways to put yourself in the hot water, that is definitely exactly where you want to be. Thank you. Anything else? Thank you for the feedback again. Andile, anything else from your side?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Nick, you've got a question.
My question is really...
Nick's hand is up.
Yeah.
My question really is on the how do you protect your ideas as a small entrepreneur to say the big players, once they see that you are implementing something, they come in and basically take over that idea, but because they've got resources to make it bigger, make it happen faster, how do we as entrepreneurs at the bottom of the food chain to say, when you have come up with an idea, how do we now put that, because the moment you have got an idea, you want to test it, you want to put it out there to basically have either a proof of concept or to say that, okay, this works. But when you have done that, you're exposing yourself to what I call the vouchers, who are in the big corporate world, who basically take it and run away with it.
Okay, now that's a great question, and it's always difficult to answer that. I can't on the fly quickly get something I can share with you. Let me share something with you. So please, this wasn't planned, but it's on the fly. And I think my best answer is to look at the value chain, and that's where you have to understand your competitors really well. So any industry will have a value chain, and this is like a core value chain. This is this is extremely generic. For each of the other types of industries, let's just see what else is there. They're pretty much all Porter's 5 forces model. I just want to see if I can find another one. I'll do some research and I'll get back to you guys. So you need to understand, where does value get created? And value gets created either in parallel or in theory. So my advice, if I can shoot off the cuff here, is that you will need to understand, where does who create that value? And if you are going to create value in a crowded space, the moment you are exposing yourself within a market, people are gonna potentially try and imitate you. So you will either have to have a proper plan to ramp up your idea so that you can compete with these established players, or like what the University of St. Gallen suggested, is not to reinvent the wheel, not to try and be like a hard head-on competition for these guys, but maybe find a way in the industry business model, within the value chain that they create value, where you can rearrange things, where you can actually then maybe say, guys, I've got a new idea, there's new value I want to establish, and there's, for argument's sake, 3 guys here, 4 there, 2 here, 1 here, and another one there. And I've got value that I know that these guys they're producing something, but they're producing value at different stages of the value chain. And then what you do then is you rearrange that value, and you try to eliminate middlemen. So if the moment you eliminate middlemen, that means you have cut someone out, unfortunately for them, but that's business, which adds more costs to the value chain. So by being smarter and by still having that value or replacing that value in a more efficient way, you can actually get rid of other people by rearranging things. Let me just quickly think. There's something else I thought of that would be quite valuable. But did that help?
It does help. I think it's probably something that is more to do with probably the fact that when you are trying to disrupt certain industries or certain value chains, what you come across is you find that the big players may be the slowest to act, but when they do act, they basically collect a piece of this business, a piece of that business, and put it together and come up with a system that probably just covers what everybody else does. And with their muscle in terms of financial power, they will be able to implement it, ramp up the marketing more than you can ever do. So yeah, it's quite something that it's something that I have found out the hard way. A couple of years ago, we approached a big retailer who was not exporting and saying, your customers are coming from a BCD country and they want to get those things without them visiting your showroom, and you always tell your customers you do not export. So can we be your exporting department, sort of, whereby we will handle your export and you say you refer us and you do all that? And 1 year down the line, after going up and down in meetings, they implemented it. So in the end, you are trying to fit into, you're not disrupting their system. You're trying to give them more sales by completing a chain that they are not interested on. But at the same time, you have also given them an idea that with their resources, they can be able to implement.
Yeah. So did you have any form of agreements with them in place, like an NDA or so forth?
There was no NDA. Well, see, the thing about when you are a startup, you get excited about these ideas, and it's half of the times you freely go into these meetings because you start at a branch level and then you are referred upwards. And as you go upwards, people are interested in it and arrange meetings and all that. And you sit and say, give us the idea. What is it that you want to implement and how do we fit in? Give them a breakdown of it. So yeah, in short, there was no NDA, there was nothing like that. But what I've also discovered is that the process of us getting an NDA means that you need to have lawyers because you cannot foolproof an idea, to so to speak, because you do not have you can't control and say, after having given you this idea, you can't go and implement it, because they'll tell you that this is something that has been in our plans and we're just a coincidence that this has happened. But I get the NDA part, and for us, a foolproof NDA involves a lot of money with expensive lawyers, so that you are going to say what you do. But as far as I know, you cannot patent an idea or you cannot trademark an idea before you have done that. And usually it's kind of a process.
Yeah, no, and it's resource intensive. It's time consuming. It's money. It's expensive. So I think this is not my area of expertise, but I would definitely say that how one can try and protect your ideas, at least go to a few smaller players. So let's say you've got a partner in mind and they're this big multinational space. Go to their customers or people that they typically might serve. Build a small user group, gain their trust, maybe offer them something really, really compelling. And because I think what is important is to gain traction in it, because if you've done traction, it means that not only do you have just a bright idea, but you actually proved that it worked. And to prove that something works and to know how it works is know-how, and that is something they can't buy. So it's all about that leverage. So you can say that, we've got something that's disruptive to you. You've got a bigger range, a bigger footprint than we do, and yes, a few case studies of, let's say, 10 organizations that we've taken through. We know how they work. The system is integrated. We've got the skills, and then it's, once again, you have to be careful with who you share it with, and the best thing is to try and build a relationship with honest people, because I think it's a difficult one, and it's just sad that people steal others' ideas and that you don't respect them and honor them for where they came from. But yeah, I guess it's part of human nature as well. Money talks, and then the things become a little bit muddy sometimes. So yeah, thanks for that share as well, Nick. Anything else from your side on that topic?
I think that would be it. But I like the business model innovation because it is where we are at. It is the stage where I think most of us started at, where we're saying that you're trying to differentiate your business from the rest of the guys, so that there is a good reason why people would come to you, because half of the things that are being done have been done already, or they're being done, but you're perfecting what is being there, so that like you have mentioned, you increase the convenience, or you make it easier for that person to get rid of the pain that they're having. So it's a very insightful presentation that I think for us, I would look a bit more into them to say, at the level that we are at in Africa, or at the small level that we are at, how do we get that model to be able to work such that we are able to grow it? Because most of the examples that you have given are big organizations, we've got resources to be able to say, I am going to create this, and they've got muscle to get those innovations or become products. So I think us as small entrepreneurs would like to say, how do we, at a small level with very limited resources, grow that to such a level that you are able to implement it without you losing out in the end, or without, with you now even attracting the bigger monies that you would want to attract.
Yes, sorry, Nick, would you like to, is that it from your side?
That's it, that's all I have.
Cool. So, okay, now I just wanted to make sure that you're done. All right, so I think what is important there is, once again, you might have a great idea and it might definitely work, but you don't maybe have the resources. And then it would be to come up with, we haven't really covered a minimum viable product. So it's about, maybe you've got a product and it's got five key features. You need to go and do analysis and say, can we maybe implement one of those 5 features? And then gradually, as you start getting traction, as you start getting additional capital flowing in to support the next phase, then you can actually start off with, how does the business model look for feature 1? How does it look for 1 and 2? How does it look for 1, 2, and 3? And then gradually build it up until you go to the final one, which is then the whole package with everything in it. Yeah, that's it. I see, Andile, I'd like to get to you, but Nick, I see your hand is up again. Would you like to maybe add something there?
And I think probably this one is probably a comment to say, I think out of all this, what we have learned is the way of the people that you consider your partners. Because you will find that some suppliers may be your partners because you are getting and you're distributing their product, but in the end, they will take whatever idea that you have come up with and sell it to big guys who they know that these guys will be able to implement it at a higher, faster pace that will bring themselves, because everyone wants is sales, and everyone wants to say, what is the best channel that I can use so that I can get this particular sale. So it goes into to say, when we are doing our business model canvas, we look at to say, our partners, how are we exposing ourselves to those partners, to say, how do we partner them to such a level? Because you find that half of the times we are mostly trying to get in, and by trying to get in, you basically exposing yourself. So thank you very much. I think that would be it.
Okay. Yes, exactly. No, it's a fine line that you need to negotiate, and you definitely should be careful. Okay, Mr. Andile.
Just to add on what Nick have just said. Sorry about what happened to your business, but on Monday I was attending an intellectual property training. So they spoke about that. No matter how excited you are about your business, and you should always try to protect your idea. No matter how much do you need that client, you should not be afraid to ask for an MOU, because that will protect your idea. Because now you are bringing something that they never thought of, and they have resources to run with that idea. So yeah, I think it's just to be careful, as much as you are excited with your idea, but the moment you share your idea, it's no longer yours. You've shared it. So that we all need to be very careful about that. Thanks.
100%. I think just on that, what I've heard also from people is that they say there's lots of ideas out there, and it is true. And you should definitely be careful. But you can also just keep in mind is an idea is one thing, but a business model is also another thing. You can't just have a good product; you need a business model as well. And it's also about execution. It's still going to depend on your drive. It's still going to depend on your the execution of your idea. How do you manage the whole thing, because it's still a new idea. And to get all these disciplines, I think we've covered a lot of disciplines now already. It's business model innovation, it's problem problem solution fit, product market fit, it's business and business model fit. So there's a lot of aspects to be covered, and then there's design thinking and customer development, and we've touched on all these things. So I think in it's what's important is how do you actually use those skills to the most efficient way to get the biggest and fastest results. Okay. Nick, I see your hand is still up. I'm not sure if it's from a previous hand up. Might be.
I think it's from the previous hand up. I don't know whether to let me remove it. Cool, sorry about that.
No problem. All right, cool. That's it. I think if there isn't anything from anyone else, I'm going to quickly just ask if there's another question in the room. I can quickly address that, and then we can move on.
From our side, just thanks, JP. And I think the guys are starting to see it take shape and how all the parts fit together.
I hope so.
Yeah, and getting the value of the program, it's starting to look good.
Tebogo, you've been very quiet. I didn't pick your Rubik's Cube for no reason. I think it was a job really well done. Can you maybe just share if there's anything that you maybe want to share with us and with the cohort that you've maybe saw today that you didn't realize, or anything that comes to mind at the moment?
Just kind of we said we should maybe like work with the point that Nick touched on, like when bigger companies take your ideas and stuff. When you said that we should maybe try to work like with a smaller, with smaller companies and build like communities. Yeah, because you do get you present your ideas to like big companies, they take your idea, and then because obviously they have the resources to implement that idea. So I think it's better to work like with up and coming companies.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so thank you very much for everyone's shares. I appreciate it. And I think, I think today was a great example to see how we can learn together, because we all have different experiences in different areas. And also sometimes you forget about an experience that you had somewhere. But as we share and as we ask questions, we can definitely help each other and conceptually, give some advice, or, just give an example or a case study of actual example that you or your organization has been in, that can really help someone else. Okay, I think that's it. Unless anyone else wants to share. Dumisani, you've been incredibly quiet. You usually have something to say.
Oh no, I was just preparing for our next meeting.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, cool. So thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate your feedback. I'll send you the videos again, and let's do some next steps and get all your Rubik's Cubes on the next level. So that we can, I really want to see how we can get good marketing messages out for you guys. So please, the effort that I'm asking you to put in is for your own organization. I want to shape a nice elevated pitch and maybe some messages for your customer segments. That's definitely going to be of some good value to you. All right. So thank you, everyone, once again. It was a pleasure to have this session, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Enjoy your day, and speak to you soon. Speak to you on email. Okay.